Hey, what's up? This is Brandon Simmons for BrandonSimmons.biz. This is my weekly video blog called Bullheaded, a review of the Houston Texans news, as well as a preview of the upcoming game matchups. So, this week, the Texans are coming off their bye week, and they will be actually heading on the road to face the Tennessee Titans. And if it's anything like last year, should be a great close rivalry game. Hopefully, we come out with a W. Now, but before we get into all that, just want to get into a couple of news items, and I just want to retouch on an outlook of the rest of the season that I had. So, well, one news item actually, Lonnie Johnson, they moved him back to cornerback. Um, so, if you can recall, it's something I just kind of realized when looking this up. Um, he was moved to safety last season, played the whole season at the safety position, even though he was drafted as a cornerback. Like I knew he was drafted as a corner, but him, I didn't realize he went that far back to playing the safety position. It even kind of threw me off guard when I seen him play it this year a little bit. So, um, but yeah, they moved him back to cornerback. David Culley, he addressed the media. He was saying that him and Johnson had a conversation about it. Felt like Johnson was more comfortable playing that position, playing his position that he was drafted in, and Culley felt like it was better for him to be at that position, to fit the current Texans defensive scheme. So, uh, excuse me, glad to see him back on that, and he did all right. Was reading an article and it said that he had three interceptions, which is tied for third, uh, in the league this season. So just really talented dude. Hopefully, this works out and just shapes the defense up to be a little bit more better. So going on before we get into the game preview, just one of the outlooks I wanted to some thoughts I had on like the rest of the season, and I touched on this last week actually during the bye week episode. Just how I felt about the team going forward and everything, and so in this particular instance, I want to kind of rehash the same thing, if you will. Um, so I called it, spoil. I called this episode "Spoiled Goods," only because like for the rest of the season, man, that's pretty much what's going to be on the Texans' agenda. Just kind of finishing out this year, and just having just kind of spoiling some of these teams' playoff runs, and so it starts this Sunday with the Titans. But in addition to the Titans, they have the Texans have the Colts on the schedule, who may or may not. They're who might be on who are kind of on the bubble. Same thing with the Seahawks. They're kind of on the bubble too. Especially like with them just now getting back. Um, excuse me, with them now just getting back Russell Wilson. They they kind of lost a few games and kind of got them in a down position in the NFC. Um, Chargers are on here. They're going to be in the mix for a playoff run. Uh, 49ers may or may not be kind of the same situation with the Seahawks. They don't Texans don't see the 49ers till like week 17, and they might actually be in sort of a playoff run by the time that if the Niners play the way that they did the other night against the Rams, they might be in that spot. Other than that, they might not. And then to finish off the season, really we'll have the Titans again. So it's pretty much two games against the Titans, a game with the Chargers, a possible playoff elimination for the Colts in a couple weeks. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for spoilers on the schedule, and you know you hear all the time about people hype that up, all the time, and I think I don't know I think it only works for certain games. Like for the Titans game, I definitely see the incentive in being a spoiler because it's a division rival. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they're going to get up for that. They're going to make sure they're going to be like, oh, this is the year that we stopped the Titans from going to the playoffs, or we stopped them from getting home field advantage or winning the division, something like that. So I definitely think the Titans, the later Titans game, and especially this one this weekend, that'll be something that the team will get up for, especially with the season that we're having, and also for another thing to have done, another thing to just kind of expect out of the rest of this year is, just have the talent to be examined on a little bit longer term. So, I, my whole thing is, this is the biggest preseason ever. So, um, I think with this, they'll actually, be examining. They'll be thoroughly looking at like who's stepping up in like actual, game moments. You know what I'm saying? Who's really bringing that energy and everything, and especially as the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season wind down, because players, that's this. You know what I'm saying? This what 17 game schedule for every team, so it's an extra game. Players they're gonna kind of be tired, worn out, just from like the year itself. So by the time they get to those last few games, teams are going to want to, definitely it's the Texans are going to take a look at like who's actually like still, getting up for like week 16 or week 17 or whatever. So um, that's going to be that's definitely going to be something that's probably like high on their list to watch out for, and just see who's really being like the most productive through this second stretch of the season. So, with that being said, before we get to the, we'll actually start the second stretch of the season this Sunday against the Tennessee Titans on the road, and so it's going to be a peculiar Titans Texans matchup for the given fact that the Titans are not going to have Derrick Henry. He suffered a foot injury in week 8, which is, some people are saying he's going to put him out for the year. Some people are saying he might have a chance to come back before the season ends. So um, but even with that, the Titans have, they've still been kind of on a roll. They won. They haven't lost a game yet since he got hurt. And they've just been, just playing some really good football right now, staying afloat, top the AFC. And I think they might be the number 1 seed or whatever. So they've been, kind of cruising, and they've been kind of cruising along with it without any major setbacks. So, with that being said, Texans, they're gonna go into Tennessee, face this team, and with the Texans and the Titans, it's always kind of wild. Last year they had 2 classic close games. Unfortunately, the Texans lost both of them, but um, it just goes to show you that like even in the Texans were having a down season then. And it's like even despite what the Texans might be going through or what either team might be going through, um, you know, in their season, when that game comes to when it comes to that game, when that matchup between those two, they're gonna give it the all on both sides of the ball. And that's what makes it a good rivalry, to be honest with you. And so I expect nothing less of the Texans to like, come out here. I expect the Texans to like just really kind of give their all in this game and just make it real competitive. So here are 3 things that the Texans got to do to win this game. So first thing, they have to take advantage of the red zone. Titans are second to last when it comes to giving up red zone attempts. So it's almost like a bend but don't break type of defense, if you will. So if they're going to give the Texans, if the Texans are going to get into the red zone against the Titans, then they have to take advantage of that. They have to go in there, score field goals. Definitely, obviously, you want touchdowns and everything, but go in there and just make the most of it. No turnovers. Run smart plays and everything. Run effective plays, if anything, and just go in there and just make the most of you know every red zone opportunity that you pick up against this Tennessee team. Second thing the Texans have to do is bring the pressure. So Tannehill is tied for the lead in getting sacked at 29. So it's him and Justin Fields both sacked 29 times this year. Um, earlier this year, Tannehill was sacked 6 and 7 times in like 2 different games. So 6 times in one game, 7 times in another game. Earlier this year, that was before the Derrick Henry injury, probably a couple weeks before actually. So even with as strong a fact as even with a strong factor as Derrick Henry was in those games, he was still wasn't able to like stop prevent he wasn't able to prevent Tannehill from getting sacked. He might have been in those games. I have to just go double check to see if he was hurt or not. But uh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. 6 and 7 times earlier this year, and at least twice in the last 3 games. So, he's been knocked around. That O line is a problem now. Yeah, I've said they won games, but it's that protection is going to be an issue down the stretch for them. Just speaking objectively, but definitely, the Texans have to just really bring the pressure, find ways to get pressure on Tannehill because really it's all on his shoulders right now. With no Derrick Henry to save him from anything through play action or just getting the defenses to change up or anything. It's our teams are going to be focused on him and forcing him to you know just step out of that game manager label that a lot of people have put on him. So um, yeah, is bring the pressure on him. Just kind of just keep constantly bringing the pressure on him and knock him around. Um, Third and final thing the Texans have to do is just kind of like what I said before I did the game preview. Act like it's a rivalry game. Like I mentioned last year, 2 close games that they could have won and they didn't. But just act like a rivalry game. Do not get embarrassed on the road. You know, I realize that you probably have nothing to really play for as far as like playoffs or division titles or anything like that this season, but you really are playing for your careers. To be honest with you, and yeah, it's like what week 11? Yeah, it's like week 11 right now, and so you are, yeah, it's week 11, and so yeah, season's far from over, but you're still like literally playing for your job going into next season. Especially, all these cats on here with like 1 year deals and all this stuff. Off season's gonna become real quick, and people gonna remember like, oh, when we played against the Titans, such and such didn't show up, and so listen, man, just show up, act like it's a rivalry game, and get up for it. Just give it all you got. Go at their next. They're definitely going to go at your next. They're trying to get to playoffs, division titles, home field advantage, all that. They're going to do all they can to like stomp the Texans out. Texans have to stomp them back out. That's as simple as that. So, uh, Texans just got to take advantage of the red zone, bring the pressure, and just act like it's a rivalry game and just give it that type of energy. Texans do those 3 things, they'll get a W this weekend. So, with that being said, I'm Brandon Simmons for BrandonSimmons.biz. Holla black.